Good morning, Valley View Rotary. My name is Randy Spoerle. I'm a member of Madison South Rotary, and I have the honor of serving as the District 6250 Polio Eradication Chair. Over the past several months, I've received a number of inquiries from Rotarians wondering what effect the COVID-19 pandemic is having on our fight to eradicate polio. So I'd like to take this opportunity to respond to those inquiries. First of all, however, I want to give you a brief update on the status of our fight to eradicate polio. Through June 9th of 2020, there have been only 62 confirmed cases of polio throughout the world. 50 cases in Pakistan, 12 cases in Afghanistan. And while that is still 62 cases too many, remember that back in 1985, when we began our journey towards a polio-free world, there were 125 countries on 5 continents that were polio endemic. And during the year of 1985, more than 350,000 children, nearly 1,000 children every single day, were paralyzed by or died as a result of the polio virus. So we've come a really long way, and we truly are this close to eradicating polio. The COVID-19 pandemic has had 3 major effects on our fight to eradicate polio. First of all, on April 1st, 2020, the World Health Organization decided to temporarily suspend all door-to-door vaccination campaigns. That will most likely produce an increase in the number of cases in Pakistan and Afghanistan, and it may lead to a transmission of the virus to other cases. Fortunately, however, the World Health Organization is continuing its intense poliovirus surveillance efforts so that when the door-to-door ban is lifted, the World Health Organization will be able to move in immediately with intensive mop-up vaccination campaigns. Also keep in mind that the social distancing and the travel restrictions that are in place as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic should help tamp down the transmission of the virus. Another effect that the pandemic has had concerns President Trump's decision to halt funding to the World Health Organization. Now, the World Health Organization is certainly subject to legitimate criticism in some areas, but the decision to stop funding the United Nations agency in charge of international public health and the decision to withhold that funding during a pandemic will have significant effects on the World Health Organization's ability to continue its programs. It will have to cut back on its funding, it will have to cut back on its surveillance, and it will have to cut back on its support of vaccination programs, including the polio vaccination programs. One of the things we should have learned from this pandemic is that a pandemic anywhere is a pandemic everywhere. The third effect that the pandemic has had on our fight to eradicate polio concerns our efforts to raise money for Rotary's polio eradication campaign. Over the past several months, more than 40 million people here in the United States have lost their jobs. Many millions more have experienced significant income reduction. As a result, there are fewer discretionary dollars available for charitable giving. At the same time, there is an incredible demand for those charitable services, whether it's food pantries or homeless shelters, domestic violence shelters. Nearly every organization that provides social services has seen a demand for those services that is greater than any time since the Great Depression. So on the one hand, we have this tremendous need for charitable dollars at a time when there are fewer charitable dollars available. And we've seen how that plays out right here in District 6250. During the first 5 months of this Rotary year, from July 1st through December 1st, Rotarians in our district contributed $82,000 to Rotary's polio eradication campaign. That's more than $16,000 per month. Over the last 3 or 4 months, we've seen those contributions drop down to less than $4,000 a month. So that's a drop from $16,000 a month to $4,000 a month. That's why it's really, really important that we remind our fellow Rotarians to keep our polio eradication campaign and to keep the annual programs fund in mind as they prepare for their charitable giving this year. All is not doom and gloom. I want to end on a very positive note. On June 11th, 2020, several well-respected scientists published an article in the Science magazine in which they theorized that perhaps the polio virus, the polio vaccine, will also provide immunity against the coronavirus. The oral polio vaccine that we use today is a weakened form of a live virus. And when that vaccine is given to a child, it stimulates the child's immune system to identify and attack the polio virus, thereby creating immunity. Studies have shown that countries with high polio vaccination rates have not only experienced a significant drop in the number of childhood deaths caused by polio, they have also experienced a significant drop in childhood deaths from other viruses. So the theory of these scientists is that perhaps the polio vaccine will also stimulate immunity, at least on a limited basis, against the coronavirus. This would explain in part why children seem to be less susceptible to the coronavirus than adults. Now, at this point, this is just a theory. There have been no peer-reviewed double-blind studies. Those studies are underway right now. But wouldn't it be wonderful if the polio vaccine would also be the silver bullet that will get us through this pandemic? And even if it's not the polio vaccine that will be used, even if it's a separate vaccine that is developed for the COVID-19, when that vaccine is developed and when it's available for distribution throughout the world, it should be relatively easy for the World Health Organization to combine administration of the polio vaccine with the COVID-19 vaccine. So we've got some challenging times ahead of us, but we're going to get through them. So in closing, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. And as always, thank you for being Rotarians, and thank you for making a difference.